Shoot, man, obviously the first inning, this guy's obviously really good. He punches out 2 in the first. We don't get any runs. They score. They obviously scored early. I thought the Willie Calhoun at bat, in that second inning, Nate does a good job. Adolis gets stays through a pitch. Now we have first and second. After Cole strikeout, Willie's takes there. There was 2 in a row with, I think it was a 0-2 and then a 1-2. Something that we had talked about, if we can just lay off that split, if we can just lay off that thing, and he did. And they were, millimeters away from being strike 3 twice. And he ends up walking, and obviously that set up, Jonah's big hit right there, and that changed the whole game. So if Willie doesn't do that whole inning is totally different. So, the fact that he stuck to the game plan and Jonah was able to get up there with bases loaded, 1 out, and in a pressure situation, and for him too. He had 0-2, a hanger, and that's, we put pressure on him, and we were able to reap the benefit of it. But I thought we did a good job. Obviously, that second inning we scored 4 off him. Ended up rest of the game pressuring him even more. It's huge that we can do that, especially against an elite guy like that.
You talked before the game about the guys returning and how they kind of have some level of comfort simply because of the guys surrounding them, the new guys. I talked to Jonah tonight about that comfort that he has knowing his role on this team is solidified, whereas it wasn't to start spring training, nor was it last year. How can you speak to that and how you've seen that over the last couple of weeks since that role has been solidified? Yeah, no, I think it really helps him. He knows he's going to play a lot too. I think that's what kind of puts his mind at ease. Obviously, Mitch, I've made it pretty clear that we're going to look after him health-wise. So Jonah's going to get a lot of opportunities to play, and I think just knowing your role and credit to him, he's put in a lot of work offensively. Defensively, Bobby has those guys working. Bobby Wilson, our catching guy, has those guys working a ton to improve, and he's put a ton of improvement there in game calling, and just obviously him and Mitch do a ton of work on the advanced stuff. But as far as the swing goes, Donnie's been really impressed, and I know Tim has been really impressed with just his work and consistency in his work on the offensive side. And for it to show up today, he's had some pretty good, obviously, games early on. So we'll try to get him in there. Obviously, again, he'll catch another one of these games. But it was obviously a big day for us, man, for him. Bullpen came out big tonight. When you look at Brock Burke and what he's able to give you, is he opening your eyes to possibly some different things? I think he's opening everybody's eyes. That was just really impressive how he just goes out there and attacks the strike zone. The stuff is like overpowering guys, and I know, once teams start seeing them, or some hitters start seeing them, they might start, he's going to have to get through, a Houston lineup, the second time facing them, or the Angels lineup second time facing them. But so far, man, it's just there's no fear. Ball comes out, it's 95, 96 at times, and he's just, like I said, overpowering some really, really good hitters.
On Willie's at bat, the thing that stuck out was that he could have swung at both those pitches.
Yeah.
The fact that, and you would have been okay if he'd have taken those for strike 3 in that situation.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about, right? Because those are pitches that he can't do anything with.
Nobody does anything with them. And I think when we identify that with certain pitchers, when you try to cover the whole strike zone and you try to cover, every pitch that the opposing pitcher has, it's a recipe for disaster. That's what they want. They want you to do that. Shohei actually, loves it when guys start swinging at that split, because now it makes his fastball that much better. Nobody ever does anything with his split. Nobody does any damage with it unless it's up. And so anytime it's like at the bottom of the strike zone, it's a ground ball or a swing and miss. So if we can see it and eliminate it and just say, okay, we're willing to take a called third strike at the bottom of the zone, tip your cap and move on. But Willie, those were elite takes, exactly what we had talked about.
And then the other thing on that was, you did have a couple chases. It's inevitable, right, on the splitter. You had a couple chases on the splitter. But did you feel like overall you did a good job of eliminating the splitter from his repertoire?
That, and later in the the fourth inning, where we attacked him right away. And and I made a comment to the team after with Willie, that double. He hits first pitch, rocket through the hole. just trickles away from the second baseman. And one thing I've challenged Willie on is, like, be a threat on the bases. And I'm not saying stolen bases, like stretching that into a double right there changed that whole inning. And that's something that we pride ourselves on the bases. And for Willie to kind of set the tone in that inning, and then the next pitch, base hit, next pitch, swung. So it was, we're on the go against Ohtani the whole time, and you could tell he was like, dang, Jonah, the next pitch, base hit to left center. 2 pitches we got to run in. That's something that, we have to take advantage of. And so we never even had to get to the split at that point because we attacked his fastball.
Dane has struggled in the first inning a little bit, and he gives up the 472-foot homer to Trout, but he's able to bounce back. I mean, what is it about Dane that is it his mentality? Just what is it that he's able to bounce back and kind of right the ship?
He's a competitor, man. I think that's first and foremost. We noticed that right away. I noticed that when, before we traded for him, just watching video on him and seeing how he gets through games. This guy gets better as he goes. The one thing he does have to figure out, though, is that those first couple innings. He's had trouble in the past. Just execution. The stuff is there, but the execution is not there at times. And, it causes him to, give up runs, high pitch count early in games. So, however, I mean, every pitcher has things that they have to work through. Some guys, have to do the opposite of what Dane does and have to try to figure out a way to get through games. And he, gets stronger as he goes. And we've noticed that. So I look forward to, extending his outings up into the 80s, 90s, and, maybe low hundreds. But he's got to find a way to get through those first couple innings and be able to execute from pitch one.
Are you going to dunk on Grady?
What's that?
Are you going to dunk on your son?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was a win for us. He can live with that. He's okay. His favorite player, I'm sure Shohei will come back and want revenge on us tomorrow. So I'm not going to say anything bad about him.
With Jonah, I guess I kind of had a flashback to last year against Seattle when he hit those 2 back-to-back walk-off home runs. What is he doing? Or what is it about him that makes him come up kind of big in these pressure situations?
I think he just has no fear in those moments. The one thing I noticed last year of all the guys we had on our roster, you look at big spots. Okay, we have a game plan. We're facing an elite arm. The guys that go up there and they say, okay, I'm going to sell out to a fastball, or they have a game plan. One thing about Jonah that I'd noticed last year was that he has no fear in following a game plan. He says, if this guy's throwing 100 miles an hour, I'm going to be on his fastball. He'll go up and do it. A lot of times he just couldn't execute. His swing was a little bit back and forth. It was a little off at times last year. I think where he's at now, it's a lot more consistent. So I think it allows him to kind of get his swing off more consistently on the pitch he's looking for. But there's no fear in getting a swing off. We saw sometimes at times last year some of our guys would just lock up, or they would just go, okay, I'm looking, and they get caught in between. He has no fear to say, I'm selling out to this pitch. And he actually has a good time sometimes looking for off-speed pitches. He'll do the same thing, and he sticks to it. So I think that kind of stands out. So in those moments, he has no fear.
And just Corey, the lucky locker seems to be working, I guess.
Yeah. He, that obviously Moran's, a ton of sliders. I think he just, Donnie said it right before the pitch. He goes, if he throws him another slider, I don't think it's coming back. Sure enough. Corey's one of those guys where you can make him look silly on a pitch or two. You better not keep doing it, or he just forces you to make quality pitch after quality pitch. And if you beat him a certain way, he'll end up getting you. If you try to keep getting him out that way, that's what great hitters do. I've been around some great hitters and played against some great hitters, and that's typically a hallmark quality of those guys. You just can't keep beating them the same way. And in that at bat, I think they just went too many times to that pitch and made him pay.
Thanks,